What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media Channel. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show. Thought we'd do something a little bit different tonight. I know this is very off kind of topic here on the channel. But I mean, to be honest with you, there's just not enough Karen Reed stuff right now. So waiting for some more updates. I did a kind of a little mini update show 2 nights ago, and you can go back and check out that live. And we talked about the new prosecutor that is coming in to help or essentially push Adam Lally aside and take over this new round 2. If we have round 2 in the Karen Reed trial, I'm a little off tonight. I'll get it together here. But what I want to do is talk about a case that I had been following for quite a while. Actually, a YouTuber that I used to follow, probably about 4 years ago, and the spiraling of one Anthony Farah, the Timepiece Gentleman. And I'm going to give you kind of a brief background of who this guy is leading up to kind of his modern day faults. This guy's currently in federal prison where he has stolen $5 million of customer money and used it for his own benefit. And I'm going to kind of take you through a brief history of who this guy is and give you a background of how he kind of showed up on the scene in the space of YouTube and was very successful at one point. Started to look like he was going to run a legitimate business, a legitimate YouTube channel. It was the type of person that was doing something different with YouTube. And what I'm talking about is he was in the luxury watch business and found his way in, kind of willed his way in with people that had a lot of money and athletes and celebrities, and, was running the small watch shop down in Dallas, Texas, then expanded out to LA and essentially broke off from his Dallas, Texas team, moved his operation to LA because he felt like, it was going to expand his business more. But I think that what he saw was just dollar signs at that point. Dollar signs to know that I can get out to LA where there's a lot more money and I can continue to scam people. So essentially what he was doing was taking watches in consignment. He was supposed to be selling those timepieces for a resale, and then he would take like a 2 or 3% commission. But that wasn't the case. This guy was taking customers' consignments, selling them, and essentially moving the money along. He would spend their money and try to cover like a Ponzi scheme. Essentially, it was a Ponzi scheme, and try to cover for his selling. And things started to get noticeable. And, people that deal in these high-end timepieces, there's a lot of money. Some of these watches get up hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, I'll take you through a background tonight of who this guy is, and we'll talk a little bit about him. I have some videos, and we'll take it up to modern day. He's now in federal prison trying to start a new YouTube channel and continuing his scams. So I got a little bit of a background. I'll read about this, and then we'll kind of prefix it with some videos and give you kind of a timeline of who this guy is. So bear with me here. I'm going to read here. So Anthony Farah, famously dubbed the Timepiece Gentleman, captured the attention of luxury watch world during COVID-19 pandemic. His story is a gripping tale of ambition, deception, and ultimate downfall, characterized by a lavish lifestyle of involvement in the gray market and high-end timepieces. Farah's journey began with a challenging upbringing, and his history marked with run-ins with the law. Despite these obstacles, the development and fascination with luxury watches, he eventually transformed his business into a business venture. And not only did that, and it's just so many stories that branch off about this guy. He was once a male escort that used that business to gain money to start his luxury watch business. And you'll probably see here tonight in the chat, if some of those folks are over here that followed this story when I was following this on my channel, they will call him the Tugger. The Tugger, if you know what I mean. So we'll kind of throw that in there, but there are so many little other stories about this. I want to kind of keep it basic and vanilla for people that haven't heard about this before, because people are like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And it's a very, very captivating story because, I think he found the right recipe on YouTube. Let's say, the guy was very good at what he did as far as captivating people on social media. I think he created and manufactured drama, but he knew how to use that drama to draw people in. To be honest with you, and he was doing something very different in his videos where he was showing kind of the behind the scenes of the luxury watch business. It became really like a reality show. It captivated me. I came onto this guy right around just before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, there really wasn't anything to watch. So he's producing this content. And I love watches. I've been a watch guy. I was in the watch industry for 16 years. And it just really captivated me. And you're seeing the kind of the ins and outs of the business. And you're watching him, dealing in these high-end timepieces and people coming and buy. It was very captivating at that time. So I wanted to add that context. We'll go on to read here. So operating out of an upscale bar in Dallas, Texas, he targeted wealthy patrons, selling them sought-after timepieces. To attract buyers, Farah meticulously crafted an image of wealth and exclusivity. He leveraged social media to showcase his lifestyle and employed specialized watch jargon to present himself as an expert, reinventing himself as the Timepiece Gentleman. He built a successful business despite lack of a physical storefront. To further boost his profile, Farah hired a videographer to create YouTube series that provided insights into the watch trade and showcased his luxurious lifestyle. This strategic move, coupled by active engagement in online watch communities, amplified his notoriety and sales. Despite his rise success, cracks began to appear in Farah's carefully constructed persona. Lavish spending and questionable business practices raised eyebrows within the watch community. A public stunt involving a social media disappearance backfired, damaging his reputation and underscoring his inexperience. And that's when the wheels first started to fall off. Relocating to Los Angeles in pursuit of a wealthier clientele, Farah continued to present an image of affluent, renting extravagant penthouse. We're going to show that penthouse today. However, whispers of unstable financial practices lingered, and revelations of his past as a masseur offering sensual and erotic massages further tarnished his image. The tipping point came out with a home robbery that resulted in a theft of $30,000 worth of watches and cash. While some speculated it might be a publicity stunt, and believe me, this guy did multiple publicity stunts, started lying to the public, lying about what he was doing, and marked to the beginning of Farah's decline. As a luxury watch bubble burst and the extravagant spending caught up with him, he found himself in dire financial straits, resorting in questionable tactics and resembling a Ponzi scheme. In a faithful recorded phone call, Farah confessed to financial troubles to a client, Bob. I'm going to leave out his last name. If you want to look it up, you can find him. But actually, Bob and another client of his, Wesley, we were all on a mutual live one time after this had all fallen out. And we had a little discussion with Anthony, and you're going to hear a little bit about that tonight. It's actually my best successful video on this channel. It has about 168,000 views on it. This led to an FBI investigation during which agents interviewed 20 of his clients, ultimately resulting in Farah's arrest on charges of wire and mail fraud. He's currently in federal prison. Despite facing staggering $5 million debt and potential prison time, Farah maintained an air of confidence regarding the ability to repay his debts. And he did this kind of like repay series on his, like, you thought he was going to chop out $5 million in debt in 30 days? You got to be kidding me. Farah maintained an air of confidence regarding ability to repay his debts. On the eve of his surrender, he chose to sleep on Venice Beach, armed for protection and seeking solace in the ocean's presence. In his final moments of freedom, Farah envisioned a comeback, planning a YouTube series which would chronicle his fall from grace and subsequent journey through homelessness. He believed this stark contrast would resonate with audience, showcase showcasing a life that had been once filled with luxury and now stripped bare. Anthony Fair's story serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of success built on illusion and the perilous natures of living beyond one's means. His rise to fame marked charm and odyssey, ultimately giving ways to a dramatic downfall, highlighting the thin blue. I said thin blue because I'm always talking about the blue. A thin line between ambition and recklessness in the world of luxury commerce. So that gives you a little bit of a background as to who Anthony Fair is. But let's do this. 2021. Let me bring up a video that was actually, I believe, the first video that he launched on his channel talking about specifically his, oh, not that one. His kind of, you know, fall and rise to fame. We'll see that rock bottom video tonight. All right. This ain't as here we go here. We'll play a little bit of
my story.
Get your eyes on this, guys. 2021.
Definitely an interesting one, and I think you will appreciate it. So I've put together a little video that I hope you'll enjoy. Here it is.
I want people to understand this guy is a complete delusional narcissist. Complete delusional narcissist. And never feels the impact and never understands consequences. He's continued, and I swear this guy has like 9 lives. I mean, he does things and then sneaks his way out of it, and then does things and sneaks his way out of it. I think that was what was so captivating about his YouTube channel, because you're watching the downfall of this guy, and then literally would just build himself back up and then fall again and build himself back up. But eventually, when you're like that and you're a criminal, you get caught. And this guy got caught by the feds and is facing a lot of time. So, all right, let's play through this. A little bit of his life story here.
So I was born in Louisville, Texas. It's about 15 minutes outside of Dallas. I was adopted, my brother and we grew up in Sherman, Texas.
I've never met him.
We grew up, went to school out.
I have had run-ins with him on YouTube. I was supposed to interview him once, and then we were on a large panel together with 2 of his victims. He decided to jump on and try to straighten out the situation, and it got pretty back and forth. I mean, he was into these guys for a couple $100,000, you know, that he stole from them. So, and these were the two of the main victims that went forward and reported him. So, all right, let's play on here. We'll get a little
there
on here.
We're raised in the small town, but I never really was quite the fan of small town living. And I always knew that whenever I graduated high school and became an adult, I wanted to get to the big city. When we were younger, we used to travel to Dallas and have dinner down there, spend the evenings out there. And I knew
you can see the persona already behind him. The luxury penthouse, you know, the nice apartment that he's in. He's trying to play this, you know, rags to riches story. And now, you know, he's going to come forward and say, yeah, I went to prison and I did bad things. And I'm going to come out of this and I'm going to build this successful watch business. And the funny thing is, here's the funny thing about it. If he would have played it straight and narrow, I think he actually had a chance to make it. I think he actually had a chance to make it because he had that thing. He was very good at making YouTube videos that would pull you in. And then what happened was when, you know, those demons came back out, he started doing all this bad stuff again, taking money, lying, setting these fake robberies up, you know, just a bunch of bullshit on his channel to create controversy. You know, that's where it all unraveled for him. All right, let's keep
One day I was going to move out there, and that was going to be home. So I would say within a month after graduating high school, I was packing my stuff up and I was on my way.
Probably all right? I'm gonna get dinged.
I've done a lot of stuff in my adulthood. I've been everything from a waiter, a bartender. I was a salesman. I was the annoying call person, dialing your number 300 times a day and trying to get you to pay your medical bills and getting hung up on. The corporate environment never was for me. When I moved to Dallas, I became a personal trainer.
Orko.
And I was working 9-10 hours a day, picking up client after client after client. And I'd go bartend on the nights. So Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday nights. I worked at a different bar every night, and I only picked the bars at the hot spots. So Thursday night hot spot, I was there. Friday night hot spot, I was there. Saturday, Sunday,
nature.
And I was doing well. I'm meeting some of the coolest people around here, and I'm still young. I'm like 19, 20 years old, and I got caught up in the action. Got into partying 4 or 5 nights a week. My clients were always out. They always knew everyone, and it catches you real quick when you go from a life of real restricted living to no restrictions at all, and you're making pretty good money at your age. It's easy to get carried away, and that's exactly what I did. Started having run-ins with the law, drunken fights at bars. I ended up, when I was 20 years old, I bought a motorcycle and was being a little bit reckless, and took a spin down Highway 75 and got pulled over, and I ended up running. Well, 45-minute chase, a couple helicopters, who knows how many police cars. I finally get caught, and I go to prison.
Dun, dun, dun.
A year behind bars at 20 years old. I get out just after my 21st birthday. You know, I swore it was going to be a brand new start.
And you didn't.
I was really going to make something of my life. No, nothing changed. I got back into bartending, still doing a little bit of training, but this time I did make a little step. I went and got my real estate license, and I got on a team with Coldwell Banker, and I started working my way up the ladder.
Oh God, that's all copyrighted music.
One thing about me was that no matter how much trouble I got into when I was young, I always managed to outweigh it or justify it in my mind by working even harder. If I was making more money and I was putting more hours in at work, it didn't really matter what kind of side trouble I was getting into or how hard I was partying. And that's just how it resonated in my mind. A few years go by, another DWI here, another DWI here. I finally thought, you know, it's Dallas is the problem.
Big time.
So I packed all my stuff, moved away to Miami. I thought that was the saving grace. I was going to make it in Miami. If you thought Dallas was big on a scale, Miami was 20 times bigger, and everyone there had more and went harder. And it just was that's the kind of place that'll suck you up if you're not ready for it. The thing that prompted me to move to Miami, though, was I had recently just gotten my second DUI. And then after I'd ended that, I got news that my brother was killed. And this is my twin brother. So he was killed in an alcohol-related motorcycle wreck. At that point, I just kind of lost it. I just got to a point where I thought I was invincible and I couldn't be touched, nor could I be stopped. I'd been pulled over multiple times, drinking and driving, and never came close. And then one day I was actually sitting in my car, getting my car from the valet, and a cop walked up on me. That ultimately landed me my third DUI, which then landed me again in prison, this time for 11 months. A little backstory on that. Before all this happened, I had met a girl and we had a night together, which resulted in my son, Soren. He was born on October 15th, 2016, and I was on my way to prison. I missed my only child's birth. I missed the first 9 months of his life. During that process, it finally hit me. When I got out and I was able to finally talk to him on the phone and really see him in a video face to face, this switch came on.
So this is the sympathy.
I got out in June 12th of 2017, and I had to go to a halfway house at the Salvation Army for 3 months.
So what he's trying to do here, if you're trying to get this, is that he knows that, you know, he's launching this YouTube channel. He's trying to put some material together here to kind of sell this off as a series. I mean, we always heard this all along, that he was trying to get like a Netflix deal or a documentary deal. I mean, it's essentially what he was trying to do. And then he was going to take you inside the watch industry, kind of, you know, the backroom stuff, the stuff that really wasn't ever being shown, you know, the deals, the dealing, the people, the clientele. I mean, that wasn't really ever being shown on YouTube, and it was captivating. I mean, you got to think, I mean, that's probably 2021, 2020. I mean, that was pretty height for reality series. So, you know, why not? Why not sell this thing off? So he's trying to kind of, you know, put some sizzle reels together for people and say, hey, you know, I might have something here that you're interested in, but no one really ever took him up on the deal. So, you know, he continued on his YouTube channel. We'll play a little bit more of this, of his background, and then we'll start getting into kind of the spiraling out of control.
So I'm sitting here, I'm in this halfway house, and they let you out,
basically where he is,
you know, 4 to 5 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week, with the purpose of getting a job. But we all know that you can't really, nobody's hiring. Nobody's hiring ex-felons that are recently out of prison that come in and say, hey, I need a job, but I can only work 3 days a week for 4 hours a day. They're just kind of like, you know, go on, we can't help you. I remember back, I'd always had this passion for watches. In high school, I got my first watch. It was like a blinking, it was like this blinking fossil watch where the dial blinked blue and red. And I thought I was just the coolest kid in high school. I got that my sophomore year. My junior year, I bought another one that blinked blue and green. Now I was really the coolest kid in high school because nobody else had 2 watches, much less 2 watches that blinked colors. When I got out of high school and started working and earning money, I'd buy little watches here and there. And typically my price range was between $300 to $700. And I remember at one point I had all my watches laid out on the table, and I think I had like 45 watches, every different style, every different in the price range, every different complication,
So he's currently not charged. I mean, he's in prison. He's currently charged, but he hasn't faced his trial yet. So his trial is coming up. He has trial in October. So it looks like October 11, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. will be his trial. So that's kind of why I wanted to do these updates. Oh, you know when you want to know when he's really lying? When his ears wiggle. Every time those old ears wiggle up there, he is a lion. All right, let's keep playing through here.
I had a different watch for every day of the month, and that's what I liked. No matter the occasion, I always wanted to be wearing something different. As my income went up, the caliber of the watches that I had went up, and when I went to prison, I lost it all. I'm in the halfway house, and I'm trying to think of what am I going to do when I get out of here? Like, what can I do now to start making some money? But what am I really going to do when I get out of there?
Luxury watch.
Real estate wasn't it. Personal training wasn't it. Never went to college. So I'm also a felon. So the idea of walking into a regular job, one, didn't excite me, nor was it going to be feasible. And for whatever reason, I had this weird idea that I was going to be a watch dealer. Where it came from, I couldn't tell you. I didn't see an ad anywhere. I didn't take a aptitude test that they tell you and they say, you're going to be a watch dealer. I think I remembered missing having a watch because they wouldn't let you wear one in the halfway house. And whatever reason, it just made me think that's what you're going to do. I found a course online that somewhat taught watch trading. I took it, and there was a little bit of valuable information. It wasn't near anything that was really going to make me what I've created today. And I remember the first deal I ever did was I found this watch on Craigslist in Oklahoma City. And the guy, it was a Tag Heuer, and the guy wanted like $2,100 for it. So we went back and forth for a couple days, and I negotiated it down to $1,300, and I drove halfway to meet him. He come and dropped it off. I got it back, and I took some pictures of it, posted it on Facebook and on a couple other sites online, and within 3 days I sold it for $1,800, and I made a $500 profit. Keep in mind, I've been in a halfway house for I think 2 months at this point, and there's guys going out every single day working 4, 5, 6 hours, and the whole time they've been working they haven't made $500, and I just did it in 2 days working for 2 hours. That's when this light bulb came on. Got out of the halfway house. Now I'm buying 2 watches at a time and 3 watches at a time, and I'm spending all of my time thinking about how I can network and meet more watch dealers, meet more watch clients. I got a job at a gym working the front desk, something that would get me up early and have a little bit of structure in my life. But I also got, I like the gym, and that's what I knew, and it would be easy for me to get that job. So I was sitting there in the office one day, and at the time I was wearing a Breitling Chronomat 39 two-tone with a gold dial and blue subdials. It was one of my first high-end watches that luckily I did not have to get rid of when I went to prison. It was cheap enough I could keep it. I took that watch off and I put it down on the desk, and I took a picture of it, and I started an Instagram account. And when I first started it, I just named it my first name, and that was it. But I kept thinking, I was like, I've got to name this something that one day somebody's going to walk up to me and say, hey, and that's what I had to think of. What is this person going to call me? And I came up with the Timepiece Gentleman. It just sounded kind of bizarre and out there and maybe a little cocky. I don't know. But what it did have, it had great SEO. If you Googled at that time, the Timepiece Gentleman, Gentleman Timepiece, timepieces for gentlemen, there was absolutely no search results for that related to those keywords. So I came up with the name that had all the SEO.
I will tell you this. He is very social media savvy. It's one thing he is good at. And that's really where he pulled people in, and put on this persona. But there was always something about it that in my watch community buddies, they're always like, I don't know, something was always kind of weird. And I kind of pinned this guy down from the start. I said, something's kind of weird about this. And then let's kind of sit back and watch how this kind of all unravels. All right, let's continue to listen to what Anthony says his history is. We've got about another 3 minutes, and then we'll start getting into the good stuff, the unraveling.
I ever needed just in the name. And that's when it was born. And then I think I created that Instagram account on September 15th or so. It was like 3 days after I got out of the halfway house, which I got out on September 12th, 2017.
Here.
And, I got in, started posting pictures of other people's watches. I took a course on Instagram. I practiced every day, and I started learning how to post every day. And here we are almost 3 years later, and I've built what I've got today. Yeah, man, things are good today. It's been a wild ride, though. My journey into the watch business was not an easy one. One of the driving factors I can remember vividly, and I think about it a lot, was I was in a dealer group, and I was showing off a picture that I drew. One of my hobbies is drawing. And naturally, being in the watch business, I started drawing watches. And I remember posting this picture and asking these guys what they thought. And a specific dealer made the exact comment saying, I think you're going to make a lot more money drawing watches or in art than you ever will as a dealer. And I always think about that because I've made a decent amount of money selling watches. And
so he's been in prison for close to a year. He got picked up last November. So he's close to a year. And he will be on trial in October. October 11th will be the start of his trial, unless it gets moved. But, I'm sure Anthony is producing art like this behind prison right now. He's got time. He's got a lot of time. Actually, I know he actually is doing stuff like this because he's trying to sell his artwork to make money. And we're going to get into that later here in the show.
Still have yet to sell a piece of art. It's funny how a little thing like that
$5 million
can light this fire that keeps you going and doesn't let me stop. And I've done a ton of stuff that most people would have stopped. I've made controversial comments. I've pissed off dealers. I've been let into Facebook groups, kicked back out. I've lost money. I've lost watches. I've been hit hard financially. A lot of people in this position and going through some of the stuff I've gone through, they would have quit. But, you know, it's just a lesson. I learned it and kept going. And I don't care how many dealers tell me I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to be big. I won't take it.
That's narcissism right there. Narcissism 101 right there. You can see it in his face, the smirk. You know, classic narcissist. So, all right, let's bounce out of this. I think we get kind of the gist of what's going on here. And what I want to do now is show you kind of what his YouTube videos were like when they were starting. You know, when he actually got his physical storefront. He had a partner. This guy's name was Marco. And, you know, they ran the Timepiece Gentleman. Anthony was like the PR guy for the company, the person that went out and kind of brought in all these, you know, people that had money. He was the contact. He was the face. And then Marco was like the business guy. He was the guy that kind of knew about, you know, all of the inner workings of the watches. And eventually they split off because Marco kind of saw where the direction and what Anthony was doing behind the scenes, essentially scamming people. So as far as his involvement, I don't know. Nothing's really come up in the last year since Anthony's been away in prison. So I would think that Marco was smart enough to break off when all this shit started happening, but I can neither confirm or deny. But if there was something there, I'm sure the feds would have picked him up by now too. All right, let's play a little bit about kind of what they did and which was different, where they were creating kind of this reality series and allowing people to come in and watch daily operations of a high-end watch business. And I mean, like I said, I was in watches for 16 years. It was very captivating to me. And the style that they did was just very basic, but brought you in. So, yeah, I actually have that up. I FOIA requested it. It is on my channel. You can go in and actually watch that police body cam video. I released that probably a couple weeks ago, but I do have it. All right, let's check this out. And you know, predominantly a lot of the stuff that they deal in is Rolex watches, but I'm not going to play all of this. So just give you a little piece because there's so much stuff to get into tonight. But listen, I'm glad that everybody's here. I know this is very off topic, off branding here on the channel because we've been very pro Karen Reed for the last year. There's just, you know, there's not a lot going on. So we need to start to kind of go back and maybe revisit some of the older cases that, you know, I did here on the channel or look into some new ones. And look, I appreciate everybody being here. I really do. So Heather says, I've here longer than 11 months. Proud of you, Brian. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. All right, let's keep going on here. Let's look at the daily operations at Timepiece Gentleman.
Package deal,
Nice little slick little storefront too. Very small, considering the retail space. Probably $1 per square foot was you know, they were making a lot of money. But we'll play a little bit of what went on. And you know, the funny thing is, I actually have this hat, and you can't kick these hats anymore. I had actually a victim reach out to me. He had 2 Timepiece Gentleman hats. I have them at my house, and they're kind of like collector's items right now, considering all the shit that this guy put everybody through. But all right, this is Anthony and Marco, his business partner at the time. Here we go. Let's watch a little bit of this.
What arm did you buy?
1103 rose gold factory diamonds.
And then a Mancini.
Okay, package deal. And you have to buy a ladies piece.
Okay, let's see.
And we'll give you rip prices.
Okay. And then, okay, you know how it is, though. No boxes. These are for retails. Green OP41.
12, 20, 20 brand new.
Okay, and
His channel ran probably a good 3 years, and then the wheels started to fall off. But really, this store was down in Dallas. It was in Dallas, Texas. But the way that they really got noticed was they were posting videos, and I think the one that got me in the algorithm was they went to like were they in they were in New Orleans, and they brought timepieces out with them, and they're literally just filming themselves on the streets, and you know, a couple of watches like 50, 60, 70, $100,000, and they were just asking people like, hey, how much do you think this wristwatch is worth? And people were guessing, and then they would tell them the, you know, the real price. And I want to say, and I forget the creator that they ran into, but they ran into this creator, and he was very, very famous at the time. And I maybe get this story wrong. I apologize. There's so much to this, but I think they did a little video with this guy where he was driving out of his apartment building or house or something, and was like, hey, you know, can you tell me how much this car is worth? And they were like, how much do you think this wristwatch is worth? And that video got posted and made them kind of started to blow up. And that's when they started kind of this day in the life series. But let's play a little bit of this. I'm not going to play a lot of it, maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll move on and start watching the wheels really start falling off.
Blue,
This
41.
is 2021.
Sorry.
Okay. And then this.
The blue is December 2020, brand new also. The date just is 2019, pre-owned.
And then I don't know if you want this Hulk, but you got the Hulk.
Got to take the Hulk as package.
So okay.
The Hulk is March 2019. Oh, is that what? Oh, it's almost my birthday.
Grab a calculator because we have to punch this in.
Okay. The Hulk's 2019. All right. Where's the white Daytona also? White ceramic Daytona is 20. Where's it at? What's the card?
So 10.
Green dial.
I'm starting. All right. 10,250 on the green.
Yeah.
14 on the blue.
So 14,000.
85 on this.
8,500.
Yep.
17 on the Hulk.
17,000.
Yep.
On
And
that,
then-
it's 49,750.
And then the white Daytona. Are you taking the white Daytona? No?
No white Daytona.
You don't want a
We're
white
making a
ceramic
big
Daytona?
sale here.
I have one.
You hate
You have
money?
one? Oh, I'm sorry. It's only the rarest Daytona in the world.
Yeah. Minus this one. Bam.
Bam. How much for the green one over there with the old car?
Yeah, no. That's not
Which
part of
one?
the package.
Which one? What are you looking at over
That
there?
one over there.
This?
It's sold.
Oh, this one? Oh, no, that's not. It's sold.
I got one for you.
Oh, God. That's a
Collector
big
piece.
Yes, Daniel Mack. Thank you. Thank you, Vinny. Yes.
You know what I mean?
thank
I used
you.
to sell these
Again,
all the time.
we tend to forget things. There's so much that this guy has done. But yeah, he posted with Daniel Mack, and that basically was what really started him and blew up his channel. Thank you. Daniel, yes, Daniel Mack is a guy who asks what you do for a living. Yes, that's right. Because Anthony was driving out in a Lamborghini, correct? And Daniel Mack was famous for doing those little videos. Like someone would drive out and they would be in a fancy car and say, hey, how did you get that fancy car? What do you do for a living? And that's right. Anthony was like, hey, I sell luxury timepieces. Am I correct on that? I'm correct on that, right? Is that what it was, Vinny? Tell me if I'm right. I think that's how the video went. And you probably can find it out there. It's probably still out there. Yeah. See? Yeah. I knew I was right. All right. Let's keep playing through here.
Just Russian clients.
And how much did you used to sell them for?
Yeah, I'm curious what they used to bring.
Like 25 off.
Dang, that's not
What's
bad.
retail?
That's like 30-something thousand.
Damn. Oh, never mind.
25 back. That's not terrible.
I mean, it's still holding good value though.
Yeah.
This is the cheapest one you'll find.
It's a lot of watch. It's
It
a lot of
is.
watch. Money. You have to have someone who has passion.
Hey, do you need a rose gold Prez?
How much?
39.5.
Is it new or used?
39,500.
It's used, but this guy it's like early December 2020, but it's
37.
I mean it's a slider.
37.
No, too
Yeah,
low.
you did
Too
have
low. I
the
gotta
RA
pay him a
at the time.
commission.
That's right.
So far your balance 49,750. So you don't want anything else. Oh, maybe this Air King.
Oh yeah, and he
Yeah,
gave him a
he
watch.
pictures
That's
of
right.
that.
Oh, the blue one.
Yeah, grab.
Which ladies piece are you taking?
Yeah, you got to pair it with a lady. See, we
It's got to
got
be factory
we've
diamonds.
got a
though.
mid-size
Where's that? Air
solid gold and then a 26 solid gold.
Here, show him that one.
Yeah.
You like that?
Is this full tape?
Do you want to date just
Yeah,
41?
this is full tape.
Is it really?
Wait, is this the Air King that we usually have?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
No, you can't have that
You're
one.
not gonna want that one, bro.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. It's NOS, full stickers, everything, the whole 9 yards.
What's
How much do you want a black Daytona for?
Dude, that was like 7,500.
Do you want a black Daytona?
Is that
Fully stickered, open card.
yeah, we asked too high for, but we'll lower the price.
Well, how much?
I gotta look.
Yeah, I'll check back with you on that one. But you gotta pair. I gotta pair that with a white Daytona. So
You want another sleeper piece?
Let's see it.
It's gonna be made. You better. I'm giving you the opportunity to buy it before I make it famous.
I can't see it. Nope.
You sure?
it's RM 25 foot away RM.
I bet you said. I bet you
it's
said
very
no
cheap
to
to watch.
crypto. This is Bitcoin at $4.
Move down 15,500.
I'm telling you, this is Bitcoin at $4.
What are we going for this?
15,400. I need a 15,500.
This
Oh,
is
take the
400.
15,400. It's naked and it's short a
Naked?
couple
You
links.
sold the 15,500?
Yeah, where's the new
no.
one? No, we still have the new one.
When they're saying naked, that means there's no boxes, papers, warranty and stuff like that. So basically, I mean, this is what they were doing. Ins and outs of the watch business. And we'll fast forward here. They're probably boxing some stuff up, taking an
So
inventory.
on Wednesday, I got to send him a wire.
Slick little,
16,000
operation. Nice
And the
case.
Panda's sold, right?
Beautiful storefront.
Yes.
The marble
Who did it
walls.
sell to?
Mark Samuels.
Still need his dealer ID.
I'll get it this evening. Hey, did you call your guy about the Omega?
No, he already found one.
Ah, great. Sold watches today. You got the root beer.
Yep.
So it's taking the root beer, the Hulk, the Date Just, the two OPs, and you got the 15,500.
500, yeah.
Okay. The Scout.
All right. So essentially, that was kind of the basic outline of their videos, and it got better. I know the one's really not that captivating, but it started to get better. They started bringing in, working with athletes and bringing in, these really, millionaires of Dallas, and these people are just buying all these, extravagant pieces, and then Anthony's going out and they're leasing a Ferrari and Audi R8s and driving around and just showing this kind of, going to all these fancy restaurants. And you started kind of like, all right, well, wait a minute here. If these guys are only making, like there was a video that he started doing financials on, and he's like, oh yeah, this month we made $33 million. And I'm like, $33 million. I'm like, there's no fucking way. Do you imagine the amount of luxury watches? Let's say you're getting a 5% commission off a particular piece. So you're looking at, let's just say, a piece at $50,000. You're going to take 5% of that. I mean, it's only $2,500. And he's like, yeah, we have like $30 million in sales this last month. I'm like, what? This is not adding up. Something's weird. And that's when the wheels started to kind of fall off. But here's when they really ultimately started falling off. When the gambling was introduced on the channel. We'll play a little bit of this here. This was in 2021. So right around the time they were still in Dallas.
The bathroom's really not bad.
This is kind of his extended gang at the time.
I just really don't trust this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Essentially what happened, Scott, was the feds caught on because people started coming forward and they're like, yo, this guy has, a couple of $100,000 in my watches and he hasn't paid me. And, where's my money? And investors were giving him money and not getting any return on their money. And then eventually you're going to see the video here in a little bit where the bottom all falls out and he kind of confesses online, which was probably one of the stupidest freaking things this guy could have done. But I think he thought it was going to validate him and get his time knocked down. But, essentially what he said is, and this is a narcissist at his finest too, is he told his victims, if you put me behind bars, I'm not going to be able to be out here to work and get your money back. That's like strong arming someone. That's like leveraging someone. Like if you rat on me and I go to jail, you're never going to get your money back because I won't be able to be out here and work for it. So, well, let's play on the gambling here. This is when people are like, all right, wait a minute here.
I just can't get
You go out to the table. Here we go.
$25 a day, you can get for $25 you can get a bed in a nice hospital.
So that is the gentleman that was to the right was his hired videographer at the time. This was his girlfriend. And that's
All right, 20,000 on black.
20 grand.
See how it goes.
Darby.
You ain't even gotta look. Look at him.
I mean, it's like addiction 101 here. And now, yeah, Liz and Darby. I should say Darby and Liz. But keep in mind, This is not his money. He's gambling clients' money, customers' money, investors' money. That's essentially what he's doing. And then probably what he was doing is taking the customer money, putting it down in Vegas. He would double up. He would take that money and use it for himself. That's what he's doing. 20 grand down the tube.
What you think
Girlfriend.
about that?
I'm down 18,000.
How much customer money he's using?
20,000. Who you got there, my man? 20,000.
He's got your 20. Okay, I want to put 20,000. He's gonna put 20,000. The money go like this, 25. Good luck,
Send it.
Send it.
20 grand on black.
What? You go 20. So I get 5,000 back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna make the bet of 20. Okay, wait. No. That's 20. He has 25,000.
Oh, I thought it's not counting. That looks like 25,000. That might be 25.
Oh, it's the worst. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
essentially, gambling triggers that same sense in your brain that like caffeine and sugar and drugs, do. It's the same sensory in your brain. Yeah, I got Katie pulled in. She said, this is super interesting. I told you, as I said, like these off cases on the channel, we're not doing Karen Reed stuff. Come find out about this stuff. It will captivate you. I'm telling you, these are interesting stories. I wouldn't get into them and do these things if I didn't think they were interesting. Dopamine. Thank you. Endorphins. Dopamine. Yeah, that sensory, that dopamine. All right, let's see what Mr. Anthony does here.
Yeah, 25,000.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Taking away 5.
And the rise and fall, This is where it started getting out of control. You could tell. People were like, what the fuck is going on?
Stresses me out.
And she's like, who cares? Other people's money, not mine. You're a stress on this dude's face.
What is it?
No, she's gonna have to make it a thing.
Yeah, Alfred, yeah.
So Liz got 5,000 on black.
Here we go.
All right, dude. 40,000 on black, right?
45,000 on black.
No, 45. 45,000 on black.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. 45 grand on. That's something people make in a year. Some people make that in a year. And watch.
I've got a fucking problem.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is customer money.
Yeah, he's gonna
Keep
go
this in
again, I
mind.
guess.
Customer money.
He's gonna play. Alfred, what do you think of this?
We're down like 20 grand each. But we're about to go up again.
Marco will be having a heart attack right now. I'm sorry, Marco. Don't be mad at me.
Sorry, Marco.
Yes.
Wait, hang on.
20,000.
I've got 80 in.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Right, or
So,
he did.
so if I win, wait, how much are we betting? 60? So 120 would be the win. 80,000 goes back in this bag.
Yeah.
And then 20,000.
We're trying
So
to
now he's covering. He's got to cover now because he's taking that money. So he's taking customer money, bringing it to Vegas, and gambling it in hopes to double up so they can take that profit off it. That's all he's doing here. And that's what he's sorting now. Like if I win, then 20 grand has to go back in here. That's going to be customer money, but the profit off that will become in my pocket. He's fucking really, I mean, he's just explaining it, what he's doing here on camera, essentially without saying like, oh, this is other people's money I'm gambling with. You know what he's doing. All right, let's see what Tony does here.
We're trying to break even. We're trying to break even. Both of us are trying to break even. But the money, how much did you lose on your own? You lost 20,000. Yeah. Okay, so you borrowed money for that. Right now, I'm trying to break myself.
You're right, Worko.
So right now, you're down 20. Yeah. We'll figure it out. This bet, hang on. No, this bet's going on me right now. You're down 20. We'll get you back.
I have that gray hat.
This bet's to recoup what I'm doing.
I wish I had the black one.
80,000 if I lose this.
Yeah, so essentially, you know, it's investor money or it's money that people gave to buy watches for him, cash, or let's say a bank wire, and he would draw that money out of a bank and then go gamble with it. That's what he's doing. Like, hey, you're gonna buy this $20,000 Rolex. Send me the wire. We'll send you the watch. So what he's doing before he's even sent that watch, he's out gambling their money to try to double up. And then when you don't do that, you're just continuing to try to cover. It's what a Ponzi scheme is. You're just trying to cover the latest loss, or you're just saying like the money's there and it's really not there. And then you're trying to make up for it. So it's like a shell game. It's essentially what he's doing.
Technically I'm down. If I win.
So here's one of the longtime followers, Ollie in the room. Ollie, I hope I'm explaining this correctly, and he'll let me know if I am or not. And he says, and the money that he took as a loan against customers' consignment inventory borrowed against watches that he's supposed to sell. Exactly. And he did not do that. He did not do that. And Ollie knows this story very, very well because he says, I'm doing well. Good. Ollie knows this because, we used to all hang out and do watch streams and talk about this kind of unraveling of Anthony here. All right, we'll play a little bit more. Let's see if he wins his money back. And then we'll move on to the Penthouse. When he leaves Dallas, he goes to the Penthouse. And again, I wanted to try to keep this as basic as I could for people that are new to this. And I know a lot of people here that have subbed through, because of my Karen Reed coverage, they don't know who this is. So I think just giving a basic background of who this guy is and understand that. And believe me, there's so many, if I can use the term here, subreddits to this guy. It's unbelievable, but keeping it basic, giving you a basic idea of what's going on, and just the overblown narcissist of what this guy is, will blow your socks off. I just literally said blow your socks off. All right, let's play here.
I will have given away. I've got to recoup $30,000.
Thanks, Ollie. I appreciate it.
So I got to pay this back, which is 80, 130.
So 130,000.
60,000 on black.
There you go. Nana says, or he's selling watches and taking the money, losing it, and then nothing to give back. The perfect correct. All right, here we go.
$60,000. So right now, as the tally stands, if I lose, I'm down 90,000. If I win, I'm up 30,000.
He's acting like this is his
I'm
money.
either
It's not his
down.
money.
I don't know if they can hear me. If I lose, I'm down 90,000. If I win, I'm up 30,000.
Me too, Vinny.
No, that's not right. Who's that for you? Can I get another one from you?
All right, 60,000 on black.
60 grand on black.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Even.
Yeah, they're both great. Oh, they're not. No, they're not. They're over. Let's do this. Thank you.
There you go. We hit.
Let's go.
Oh,
There you go. There's
Time
the
to
rush.
take your fucking money.
There's the endorphin rush. All right. So Tony won his money, up 30 grand, pays back his investors, his lenders. All right, let's move on here. Let's move up to 2022. So at this point, he's now broken off from Dallas. He's broken off from his partners in Dallas. He feels moving out to LA is going to help, make his business bigger. What we see it as, this is an opportunity now for him to get into people that have more money. And if I can get into people that have more money, I can create more scams and schemes and use their money to lavish my lifestyle. I'll be able to drive that Ferrari. I'll be able to live in that penthouse. And all along, you're telling people like, yeah, consign with me. I'll sell your piece. And then he's just moving this money along, moving it along. Now, some of the people that were in Dallas continue to follow him out to LA. As far as their involvement, knowing what Anthony was doing, listen, I find it hard to believe that no one was totally naive to what he was doing. I mean, the spending, the overspending, this ridiculous penthouse they're in. But again, feds, from all I know, the people that are in and around him were pretty much clear. I think with the exception of a couple of people, but I think they still have some pending cases. But it was really Anthony that the ones that the feds wanted. They got this guy on mail fraud and wire fraud, and those hold some pretty significant charges. And if, as you all know, I think the feds have a 90% prosecution rate. So this guy's going to see some time. He's going to see some time. All right, let's check out this penthouse that they ended up moving into when they got out to LA. Let's be big, bold, and brash. Let's move into a penthouse. I think he's going to get the key here, and this is where it is.
I'd like to say this feels like crazy different, but I've done this 1,000 times already. But it's pretty cool. Now it's home. It'll feel really cool tomorrow when the bedroom stuff gets here.
Rent was
bedroom stuff is tomorrow. This office is tomorrow. Our office
there you go, Vinny.
Upstairs is
$30,000 lease, I think.
90 days. What's up, everybody? I want to take a quick second out of this video to answer some questions that we've gotten a lot of. And it's a lot of questions and speculation as to why we need such a big penthouse. And the first thing I want to say is it's not so that we have some massive apartment to live in. It's not so that we have some over-the-top office to showcase our watch business, because frankly, we don't need any of that. There's a little bit more of a meaning behind that, and I wanted to take you on a quick little mini tour to show you the place. We're not going to do the whole thing because it's not furnished yet. Stuff's still coming.
It never got furnished. I'm going to kill this because this is probably all copywritten music. But this insane place. I mean, so unnecessary. I think it actually had a helicopter pad out there, if I remember. Rock climbing wall. So he goes into like all these things, and I don't know if he's going to say it in this video, but never trust a guy in jorts. Exactly. In tight, very jorts, if that. I think he's going to go into like, what we're going to do is we're going to allow all these influence. Like, he wanted access to top people that had money. That's the name of his game. Let's get people in here that have money, and I can get access to their pockets. So what was he doing? And I don't know if he talks about in this video, but I know he started saying, well, I have some ideas. I'm going to rent this place out. So, high-end creators out in LA can come out and shoot their videos here. And we could do, have, top high-end influencer, athletes come in and do their training, and they can film it. And that's just pulling these people in because he knows they have money. And listen, I think some of the ideas that he threw out there, he actually had some pretty good ideas where, let's host these parties, have people come in, and we can have our watches out, and, it's like a purchasing party. But again, it's bringing people in that have money. That's all this criminal wanted to do, is get high-end people in there with big bank accounts so I could keep rolling over on them and take their money. Basil Bezels, probably one of my longest members here. Look at this. 23 months. Ghost Squad member. 23 months. Fake it till you make it. Hand to mouth economics. I love it. Dude, thank you. Thank you so much. Almost 2 years here on the channel as a member. I appreciate it, dude. And Basil's and I talk occasionally. And we still are kind of bonded by the watch game, and of course, the Anthony Timepiece Gentleman saga. So thank you, dude. I appreciate it. All right, let's play a little bit more of this, and we'll keep watching the spiraling of one Anthony Timepiece Gentleman Farah. This is probably music. So yeah, I'm going to wait until look at this plate. It's insane. And I think there's a helicopter pad on the top. Oh shit. What'd I do?
Seating area over here. There'll be a seating area over here, another seating area over here. And then we're considering like a baby grand piano in the corner. The point of this being when you have cocktail parties, when we have release parties, when we have get-togethers of any kind, clients want to come over, client appreciation dinners, which we're going to do once a month. This is where you're going to entertain. You have a bartender set up. You've got somebody playing the piano. It's just a very nice, very elegant seating for cocktail.
That's one thing that you'll find about Anthony. Everything that he said, he never followed through with. Everything he said, he never followed through with.
Parties. Now, I want to take you out here really quick to the patio. And actually, I'm going to give you guys the an explanation of where this came to be and how it came about. If you walk over here and you actually look at the building right here, this is the level building. And if you, that whole top 2 floors is the penthouse there. For any of you guys that remember the video back on the Super Bowl, we were invited out to be a vendor at this at the Athletes First organization, to where we set up our store back in the closet. Now, I was one of 10 vendors for a 3-day weekend. We paid 20 grand to set up there. I don't know what the other guys paid, but let's just assume we all paid the same. The Athletes First organization brought in 200 grand in 1 week. Or I'm sorry, 1 weekend. Now let's just assume they spent 100 grand on catering, on security. They still brought in 100 grand, which is more than enough to pay the whole month's rent for that lease. As we were finishing up our event there, Ellis, guy you've seen in some of my videos, invited me to come up and just check it out, like shoot some content. We got to walking around and looking at all this space, and then we were talking prices. I actually made a joke in one of my videos where I offered him 80 grand a month on a year lease to take this place. And he responded back that it wasn't that far off and that they were willing to negotiate. So we got to running some numbers and we got to talking. And whenever I factor in what it was going to cost me for a house for myself and for Darby and for Liz and for Brian and for everyone else, and then what it was going to cost me for an office in Beverly Hills, and then the cost of outfitting it, and then you prorate all that into a monthly expense, we were already around 50 to 55,000. Now, at 95,000, I'm 40,000 away from covering the same amount of rent I was going to have to cover the other way. If I can just think of a way to cover that extra amount, now I have this place as my experience, as my home, as my office. So how do I do that? Well, in June, we've got 2 different events that are going to be held here. One's with a liquor company. They want to do a private tasting. They're paying me $10,000 for 8 hours. The other is going to be a 2-day commercial. I can't say who it is, but they're going to be shooting.
Dewey, it's crazy in the sense of like how they get away with it for so long. I mean, eventually you're going to get caught up. Eventually you're going to get caught, but just how long they get away with it. This guy's stringing people along using, I mean, he's using their money. He's using their money. So Basil says he thought he could basically host events nonstop, and it never happened. Tony can justify any idiotic decision to himself. And Katie says, even if I had that much money, I wouldn't want that lifestyle. Yeah, exactly. Kathy says the feds, nothing better than a criminal recording himself on YouTube. Oh, wait, you know, it's going to get worse. You're going to see the actual Fallout video here in a minute. So we'll take you through a little bit more here of him yapping his trap about what he's going to do. I think, oh, wait, this is the part I think the athletes thing. Hang on.
Backyard, 52 stories up. So Doug with Cityscape Landscape helped me find turf, and they've been up here doing this all day. Wow. This is awesome. So I told Doug, and he has been amazing at getting the perfect trees and plants and everything set up. But I told him the idea up here is I want to feel like when it's done, you're in a very well manicured backyard, but you're 52 stories up. Again, if you look at the views all the way around here, we've got a fire pit right here. We're going to do an outdoor dining right here. We'll do a 4-person chase lounge kind of thing with a small fire pit. So you can sit up here, have a cocktail, have a cigar, have dinner.
Now he's winging it.
The pool's right up here. So it's just, I don't know, it's just a really cool outdoor space that you wouldn't think you could find this high up in the middle of downtown, but come on in here. All right, so welcome to the official TPG office and showroom. You walk in, you're gonna have a fully stocked wet bar with everything you can imagine. One of the cool things is,
and you know, and now you're sitting here as you've watched this channel, and you're like, dude, you're selling like, let's say an average price, probably is average price Rolexes are like 15,000. You've probably taken a 5% commission off that, and you're like, how are you affording all this? On what money they're making? How many watches a month are you selling? Like, things are not adding up here. Things are not adding up.
Whenever you go to book an appointment with us, it's going to ask you what your favorite drink is, what's your favorite color. We're going to customize. When you walk in, there's going to be a nice tray with your drink of choice ready for you, name tag and your favorite color, just little bitty accents to kind of personalize the experience. You come in, we've got a little conference table. Our bookkeeper and accounting will be right there. My desk, Liz's desk. You got great views. Right. This is where she and I will work to bring clients. This is going to be the actual showroom. Now, obviously nothing's in here yet, but Darby, go ahead and pop up some images. Now, the images you're seeing are, it's like a scaled down replica of what the Dallas store was actually supposed to be. So you walk in, you're going to have this grand look with built-in wall displays. You'll have floating cabinets that sit right out in front of it. Have 2 seating areas for overflow, which would be like our back-end sales guys. When they have clients, they can bring them up.
What do they say? Delusions of grandeur. This guy had delusions of grandeur. All right. Oh, we see the helicopter drive by. All right. I'm not gonna. So we got an idea here. We got an idea. You know, things are gonna start spiraling out of control here really quick. So we had the Penthouse in 2022. Okay. Now let's fast forward to so in this time now, he's had some supposed robberies and bad business deals. You can start seeing he starts losing a lot of weight, and that's when the drugs start coming back in, the drinking, and then he ultimately hits rock bottom in 2023 and comes out with the "I have finally hit rock bottom" video, $5 million in debt, and we'll play that here so everybody can see when he basically knew the shit was going to hit the fan. Essentially, this came down to one of his clients that actually recorded him while they were together. And essentially, Anthony came out to this client. Was it Bob or Wesley? It was Bob. Bob actually recorded him, and he kind of told him behind the scenes. But at this point, you know, Bob had been taken. It was like 170. It was like 170 grand in cash, and you know he invested in Anthony, and saw something there and was trying to help him, and essentially got taken over. I think it was like 150, 170 grand in money, and he had basically had enough at this point, and released the video to the general public, the recording of Anthony basically admitting like, I'm fucked. I'm like 5 million in debt. He knew this was compounding. This was coming down, and a couple of days later, he comes out on his YouTube channel, and this is what he got. This is what he puts out there. All right, let's listen to this one.
All right, everybody. I think it's time I finally put out a video and address everything that's going on. These last few days have been a large amount of, you know, just stuff coming out. And
I think so too, Orko. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't hide from it any longer. I can't just avoid it. I have to talk about it. I wanted to give it some time to kind of sink in
100%, baby.
and just see what was going to happen. But, the first thing I have to say is that this message is meant for my clients that are directly involved. It's for the dealers that are involved. It's for, my friends.
Now, the thing that I want you all to recognize here, and you're going to hear it in this confession, and you're going to hear it in the last, essentially, confession. It is all the same rhetoric. It is all the same language. This guy will never learn a lesson. This guy will be a career scammer and criminal. He should never be allowed on the streets. He should never be allowed to be a CEO or an owner of a company ever again, because he's going to just essentially fraud you, take your money. He's a scammer. So listen to his language very, very closely.
That are going to be affected, my former employees, people in the watch industry that are going to be directly affected by my actions. I know my words don't mean anything right now, but I really am genuinely sorry. Just to talk about the first thing that popped up, which is that text message that I sent out to a few clients. That is a real text message. That is something that I sent. And
I was basically
that,
confessing that he screwed.
Because
it was a lot of money.
Life just hasn't been fun lately. Like the message said, I battled with demons, and I've let stuff get the best of me, and I've made a lot of bad decisions. I made a lot of dumb mistakes. I even lied in that message about a robbery, hoping to cover it up even more while I try to fix it. And
that's right, Danny.
It's gotten to where just living this fake lifestyle, this look at me, I'm smart, I'm successful, keeping up the appearances, it's eating me alive. I drink every night just to be able to go to sleep.
Don't cry, Anthony. We don't feel the sympathy for you.
I've lied to my employees, I've lied to my clients, I've lied to my friends, I've lied to my peers.
Exactly.
And it was all keeping up this facade. It was not being willing to admit that I'd made mistakes very early on. I'll admit it. I got a little taste of success and never wanted to forget that feeling. So when I did make dumb decisions,
it's not success.
When I did make dumb decisions, I would write them off, or I wouldn't address them, because if I addressed something I did that didn't work, then to me that was admitting failure. And my ego was too big. My personality didn't want that to happen. I didn't want people thinking I was a failure. I didn't want people thinking I was a fraud, a fake. I got accustomed to this lifestyle, and getting that type of attention, it ruined me. I built a hell of a business when I was sober, and I made some little mistakes when I was in Dallas, and part of my past came back to haunt me. So not to
38 now.
Not to say that that's the cause of it. The stuff I did was wrong. Spending people's money, living above my means, living this flex lifestyle, all that stuff was wrong. But
not mail fraud and wire fraud.
Dealing with the kind of backlash that I've gotten, I'm not using it, I'm not blaming it on that, but it is hard. It is a stressor, and I deal with it, and I do my best to keep it suppressed and pretend like it doesn't bother me, but it does. I've gone on my little tyrants where I respond to haters on social media.
Yes, the haters.
And I'm getting carried off. I'm getting carried away, but that message was real. The voice recording was real. That was me talking to a client. Obviously I was unaware that he was recording, but that phone call came because I needed someone to talk to. I've been digging myself this hole, and it's a $5 million hole. Yes, it's true. I'm $5 million in debt.
Bingo! Fed alert. Dude, you just confessed, bro. You just went online and confessed. So now if you've come out and confessed, I'm $5 million in debt, and you're an investor that has given him money. Where's my money? And things were adding up behind the scenes. People were asking for their watches. People were asking for their money. So now you have a case. Let's go forward. Let's start coming out. And that's what happened. About 40 or so people, I think it was like 20 people at first, and then 40 more victims came out ultimately in, and that's what sank this guy. All right, let's keep playing here.
You know, about $3 million of that debt is to two big clients of mine. One who acted as an investor, and I used his money to fund my lifestyle. The other who, I'll just leave it at that. I owe two big people $3 million, and I owe a lot of small people a collective $2 million for watches that I've sold. And you know, I can't take that back. I can't lie about it. But me reaching out to the client to talk about it was because I didn't know who I can trust. I didn't know who I could vent to or talk about it to, but I knew that I just didn't want to hold it in anymore. Like I'm tired of living this lie. I'm tired of the person that I was becoming. You know, I wasn't happy. I haven't been happy for a long time, but I've been putting on this facade like everything's great and everything's perfect. And look at me, I drive a Lambo and my life's amazing. And it's all a lie. It's all fake. Like I fucking hate it. You know, like that's what it's gotten to. And, you know, could I have kept this lie up for a little while longer? Probably. And I'm not proud of that. And I never meant to hurt anybody. And, you know, my mistakes are what dug this hole deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where if I don't stop it, I'm not going to get out. It's going to get so big that it's irreparable. Admitting those kind of things, like it was the hardest thing. It was the most embarrassing thing. Like I said, it's hard for someone like me to admit failure, to admit defeat, to admit that I'm an alcoholic, or I have a drug problem, or I have a gambling problem, or I have a spending problem, or I've wasted money on cocaine and hookers and nights out in Vegas and just dumb shit, living this fake lifestyle to impress people that don't really care. You know, that's who I've become. And I hate it. I drink myself to sleep every night to be able to, you know, just to get rid of the stress for a little bit. And this last week and a half since this stuff started coming out is where it's my breaking point. This is a rock bottom for me. Like this, feeling like this is worse than sitting in a prison cell, which is where, you know, I may end up. I don't know. You know, I was hoping that by talking to a couple people about this and sending a message out to clients, you know, I understand I've hurt a lot of people and I've screwed a lot of people, but my idea wasn't to, you know, get away from it. It was to accept it and own what I've done and start trying, like, you start the process to try to fix it. I can't change what I've done, but I also don't want to hide from it. I don't want to lie about it anymore. I don't want to pretend, you know, to be something I'm not. I just want I want a chance at a real life. Oh. And I haven't had a real life in a few years. Oh. You know, especially not my life. Oh. I don't know what's going to come of this. You know, the one thing I'll say is that this is 100% on me. You know, everything, the lies, the deception, the money, you know, it's all on me. My employees, you know, I've watched a lot of the backlash that they're getting, the threatening phone calls, the death threats, the stuff. And it's just, that's not fair to them, man. It's, you know, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to make this video is to say that this is my problem. This is my mess. It's something I'm going to have to dig out of, you know,
I'm actually going to say this. I'm going to give him a little bit of credit here. Knowing if his employees didn't know what was going on, and I can neither confirm or deny, I think probably, and you may all disagree with me, but I don't know. I think maybe the most noble thing that he's done here, if any of those employees were not involved, to say, hey, this is not on them. It is on me. I think that's probably one of the sparing things that you could take away from this. If they weren't involved, he at least stepped up and said, hey, this has nothing to do with them. It's all on me. I don't know.
My team leaving as this started to come out was the smartest decision they could have made, which was to separate themselves from the chaos that I have created and the potential aftermath this is going to have, and give them a chance, like a fighting chance, to go do their own thing. And, you know, if I could ask anything, if you guys want to hate me, I completely understand that. I deserve it. If you want to bash me,
yeah, I probably would say
and,
that. Well,
you know, there's nothing I can do about that. But
or deny. We'll leave that.
My team had no idea about this. I control the money. I control the books. They were just doing their jobs. They were doing what I told them to do. So let them separate from the TPG organization. Let them, you know, give them a fair shot at doing what I didn't do and creating a real business and creating a real life, and leave everything that's involved with this to me, because I'm the one that did it. I take 100% responsibility for everything that's going on right now. And I don't want you guys to attack them and take away their shot at a life because of the stupid shit that I've done. You know, like I said, I can't take back what I've done. You know, I can only accept it, apologize to you guys. I don't expect any forgiveness, but
all right, I think he's going to keep spinning his wheel here for about the next 5 minutes. If you want to watch that full confession video, I'll drop it here in the chat. I want to kind of move on to some other really good stuff here. So we have the confession video. He's technically not picked up by authorities at this point. A lot more people are starting to come forward and, you know, telling their stories of what this guy did to them. And then one night I was on an opposing channel, my buddy's channel. I think it was called JJ's Watch Hangout at the time, but I think he's now changed it. Let's see. What is JJ? JJ, what's your channel now? I think it might just be the Watch Hangout. Let's see. I forgive. All right, it's just called the Watch Hangout. So we were on the Watch Hangout and had two of the victims on panel. And we're talking to the victims, and then all of a sudden, who shows up in the chat? And we're like, drop the link. Let's get Anthony on. Let's see this thing go down. Let's you know, watch these three guys talk about what happened and how Anthony's going to explain all of this. So let's do this. We'll pull up that video. And here comes one Anthony Farah on a panel of people, and he's gonna. This is good.
Clear the air. So
I think it would be good for him if he, you know, if he spoke truthful and things like that. I think it could be a good thing.
All right, that's good.
So you got Bob.
What have I missed so far, guys?
Bob here, Wesley here, two victims of Anthony. I'm down in the lower quadrant, and these are just JJ's channel here. Ari's one of the panel members that comes on when they discuss watches and timepieces. And here we go.
I literally just sat back down on my
computer. Oh, well, I mean, it's Bob's just telling his story of his experience with TPG.
Right.
Oh, there he is. That actually is Anthony. All right, hang on one second. We got Lakota. It says, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much. $5 super chat. All right, look at this. It's true. We actually got, is that you? Can you just confirm your voice? Sorry, there's just so many trolls. We need to make sure we definitely got some.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, we can hear you. All right. Let's get you three up
now,
because you guys are.
We're all like, oh, this is going to go down. This is going to go down. Yeah, we were all like, this is going to go down. This gets...
Are the actual people who do anything.
Here we go.
All right, so where should we start this,
now
gentlemen?
Like, all right, let's
I guess, go. Anthony, you have something. You came on, so I'm sure you have something to say, so let's start there, I guess, right?
Well, for 1 second, I have a flight boarding in 5 minutes, but I'll board last. So I've got about 15 minutes to talk. But no, you know what? I wanted to come on because
thanks for being here.
I've been denied
anything. I haven't hidden from anything. And you know, Bob and Wesley.
He was at an airport, yes.
I'm gonna tell you straight up, just like I fucking said on my video. Like, I confided in you, Bob. You recorded my conversation when I was confiding in you. And
we hung out one time in person. Confide in your friends. You robbed.
Yeah, because you know what? I stayed in your apartment, or no, not your apartment, your house. I spent the night at your house. I spent the night at your house with you and your fiance, with your kids sleep, and we went and did my whole charade where I was trying to get my Richard Mille back. You know what? Yeah, I had a lot of trust in you because you did a lot more for me. Yeah, hang on. Are you gonna let me fucking talk, or are you gonna keep talking shit? Let me talk.
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Like,
I spent the night at your house, and we talked a lot. We sat on your patio that night. We sat on your patio that next morning for an hour and a half, and we talked. I told you a lot of shit. And I told you a lot of shit. And guess what? You're fucking smart. You're successful. Who the fuck else am I going to confide in? Some person I sold one watch to a date just one time? No. I confide in people. I talk to people that have been successful.
By the way, my channel at the time, I'm looking at the sub count, was 84,556. Gosh, we've come a long way. That's like 2 years ago. Yeah, and I still look young. What are you talking about? I still look young. All right, let's keep playing. It's a lot of victim blaming going on here.
Have been through the ringer, have been up and been down, like you told me you had been. Same with you, Wesley.
DI.
I talked to you because you told me you've been up, you've been down. I told you from the very fucking start the shit I was dealing with, not the debt, but I told you about the hate. I told you before I walked in your house that day, and you know what? I'm not gonna say where. At the beach. And you've been that. No, hang on. Let me finish, Wesley.
That's right.
I told you. I will. I'll let you say everything you want. But I told you before I ever walked in your house, that first time when we were delivering all those watches to you, I told you the kind of hate that I get on social media. And I said, if you let me film you, there's a chance you're going to get some backlash. I didn't know you were going to be wearing your company shirt, or I would have told you to change it. We were already in I didn't think of it. But I told you the very first time I met you in person, when you walked out there and met me and my videographer, I said, there's a chance you're going to get some backlash. No, I told you before we even flew out there. And you said you were okay with it. You don't give a fuck.
So essentially, I'll give you some context here. Wesley reached out to Anthony. I'm sorry. Anthony sold a couple watches to Wesley. He understood and saw that Wesley had money. He talked to him about investing in his company because he was pretty much at rock bottom at this point. He needed money. Wesley invested some money and I think possibly some watches too. I can't remember. There's so much of this stuff, and Basil's can probably straighten me out on this. Some watches and some money, and essentially money's gone. And he did the same thing to Bob. I think Bobby took like almost $170,000 in cash in watches. And these guys are victims. I mean, these are two victims. And we're just sitting back letting this thing unfold.
About haters because you're more successful than all of them. And all this time, you've been telling. The only reason I'm on here tonight is because you keep telling people you didn't know who I was. You didn't know I had a business partner. You didn't know I did this blackout stunt. Yes, you did.
Hey, listen, I've defended you from the day one that you told me you had haters on Reddit. I looked my name up. I had haters on Reddit. I told everybody there that I believed that you were telling the truth because of that. Everything else all about me was a lie. I defended you through the end.
Straight up nice
I had so many people tell me that you were a piece of shit, and I didn't believe them. I defended you every day. I defended you. In the end,
you said you didn't do it. And you said you didn't do it. You told people the other day on your live interview that you didn't do enough due diligence to me, that you didn't know all this stuff about me. You didn't know I had a former partner. And that's bullshit. That's the only reason I'm on here, because everything y'all fucking keep saying, I told you every bit of it. Not the first time you met me, no. You spent over $1 million with me before you knew all of this. But when I met you in person at your beach house, I told you everything. And every single time we talked since then, I told you everything about me. It was less than a month later that I told you about my situation.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened.
I started talking to you about it. And Bob, for you, it was less than 2 weeks later. Because you know why, Bob? Because you were going to invest $1 million to $1.5 million in me. and I couldn't let myself do it.
You know, it's almost like he's mad that they didn't invest that money, isn't it? It's kind of coming off like, I knew I had access to this cash that was going to come in. You hear him, he's like, and you were going to invest $1.5 million in me. And he's pissed like he didn't get the money, you know, because I think they started catching on to this guy.
That's why I reached out to you and told you what was going on, because you kept talking to me. Remember the fucking call when I told you about this, Bob? Was the call that you were going to plan your flight to LA to come see my operation and see everything, where you were going to put $1 million to $1.5 million in me. And I said no.
You brought up invest, dude. I liked you and trusted you till I found out that you robbed me.
Exactly.
It's so hard to understand about that. I invited you into my home to help you find the watch that I thought was stolen from you. Right? I brought you to that store. I walked in with you. Dude, I liked you. I trusted you. And I thought, this guy sells a lot of fucking watches and I like the guy. It wasn't.
And you don't think there's, okay, listen, and you don't think that when someone gets in a fucking bind and someone actually gets
$5 million, it's not a bind. It's not a debt. It's stolen watches.
Where's the 5 million? Hey, Bob. You know what? Hey, since you recorded my conversation and you're running this, tell me where the 5 million's at. Because Wesley has my sheet. Yeah,
no.
Please.
I got your sheet plus your text messages from everybody else that you told me, and I haven't put. That's nobody's business.
Oh, yeah?
But the number
does it add up? Okay, does it add up to 5 million?
Yes, your numbers add up to nearly 4.7. Yes.
You told me 5 million.
If you want to call it out, whoever your guy is in Texas, you owed him over $1 million before you went to LA.
And my guy in Texas isn't saying a fucking word. You know why? Because you don't know the whole fucking story. You guys are spinning this fucking thing. Listen, you guys, shut the fuck up. You guys are spinning this fucking story like you know what's talking about. You're saying it's a Ponzi scheme. I told you 5 million, Bob, because that is what the true, listen, Bob, I told you 5 million because that's what I know about. That's what the true debt is to me, to be completely debt free. I never told you what that involves. Guess what? There's $2 million in debt with a best friend of mine that was helping me buy my way into the LA scene. My plan moving to LA was to buy my way into every circle there, because that's how you fucking make it in LA, is you get in all the top circles that you can't get in as a nobody. I was a nobody moving to LA, but guess what? When you drive a nice car, when you go to nice restaurants, when you are in Soho House, guess what? You get in those fucking circles.
Yeah,
and that's what
Marco, you're right.
He was funding that lifestyle, not your fucking watch. Okay, so get that fucking straight.
Can I touch 30 seconds? And if you want to cuss, I'll get you a first class flight. But we'll be cool about that.
So here, let me just jump in here real quick with a question. Do you expect them? I mean, not to be upset. Like I hear like you're angry at them being angry, but I'm just curious. Like, don't you think it's kind of a natural reaction for them to kind of like? I mean, I would be pissed. I'd be cursing all over the place too if I lost my money to watch things. So like, I guess what I'm asking is,
you only lost your money. You only lost your money. Hang on. You only lost your money when I disappear and I quit paying. I came out on every
I would say you lost your money. When someone
okay, but you haven't lost your money yet. Yeah, but you haven't lost your money yet till I disappear and quit paying.
Well, I mean, I've been
doing what I can to pay. Okay, well, didn't disagree.
Sell the watch, they should get the money.
JJ, can I have 30 seconds?
Sure. Sorry.
So essentially, Anthony's saying like, look, I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm not away. I'm not in prison, or I haven't left. So you haven't lost your money yet. Meaning like, I can continue to work, but if you put me behind bars or I take off, you're done. Your money's gone. That's fucking narcissism, arrogant narcissist at its finest. This guy's such a piece of crap. And I get a good poke at him, because I mean, this is like 2 years of this guy blowing me off. Like, he's had the opportunity to come on my channel multiple times for an interview. I was going to offer my platform to him, come on and tell his story. He blew me off. And I take a poke at this guy, and it's like the best comeback. All right, we'll keep playing here.
I just want to say a couple things. So, Anthony, I'll say that for 90%, you're telling the truth about me and you. I defended you. They said, why would I invest in you? I said, you sold me over $1 million worth of watches, and you kept your word every day. I was being
every watch was perfect, right? And every watch was perfect. And delivery was on time, right?
Hey, let me talk. Everything was perfect. I sent you 4 or 5 watches because you asked for a big investment. I wasn't safe. I sent you 4 or 5. You sold them. You paid my money back. I sent you more. You paid the money back.
My chance.
It was all good until 2 weeks before it ended. I knew nothing. I knew about all your drama, your hate. I knew nothing about the stolen shit or whatever you want to call it. That's when it all went south with me. If you say anything different, I can prove it wrong. I've said that every deal we had was good until the end.
And Wesley, let me ask you this really quick. If you were never interested, when I told you everything, if you were never interested in really helping me, why did you ask for a list of everyone I owed money? You think I would have ever sent that list? Listen, here. No, for real. You think I would have ever sent that list? No, you weren't.
I was willing to help until you lied to Z.
I love that right there too. It's like when like a boyfriend and girlfriend are fighting, and she goes, "No, you weren't."
Interested in really helping me, why did you ask for a list of everyone I owed money? You think I would have ever sent that list? Listen, here. No, for real. You think I would have ever sent that list? No, you weren't.
No, you weren't.
I was willing to help until you lied to Z on the very last day. And he can
lied to Z about what?
You sold some bullshit watch for 30 grand that was mine, and he was supposed to pay me that morning in person at my office.
I talked to you the night before. Listen, no, Wesley. I talked, dude. I've got the fucking conversation. You know what? There's no proof because we don't have it. I talked to you the night before, and you told me if I can sell watches. It was a Thursday evening. You told me if I can sell watches of yours over the next week, I can allocate that money towards debt, paying debt that I have, and I can put it towards you because you said you were going to be the last one I paid. That's what I fucking did.
No, so
okay,
that's not going
I sold them. Listen, within
else.
Dude, Wesley, you told me sell whatever you can. I want to see what you're capable of.
That's right.
Sell everything of mine you can, and you can allocate that money towards paying debt to other people and put it towards my debt. I sold $400,000 worth of watches of yours in 3 days, and I took one of those watches.
I've got the screenshot where we said you could take the profits and pay your debtors back. The profits. I'm in the whole million. I'm not going $1.5 million.
Wesley, I told you. I was like, I asked you. Dude, I asked you personally. I was like,
I've had enough
pieces. Can I pay some people off with this money and just put that debt towards what I owe you? Then when we come full time with you,
I want to ask you one question. Do you think the reason people lost faith in you is because you started like the video series, like how you were gonna the road to redemption, right, to pay it back, and then like you kind of stopped doing it after the 5th day? Do you think that was a signal?
So what he did, and I'll give some context here. So what he did was when this all fell out and he came out with that confession video, he said, I'm going to start a series, a 30-day series, and I'm going to record a video every day. And we're going to put a dollar amount in the corner of the screen. And as I sell and get back this $5 million and pay off my debts, it's going to be one of the grandest things that anybody has ever done. Dude, you can't sell wristwatches and get back $5 million in 30 days. And he literally got to like the 5th day and just gave up. So essentially right now he's flying back and forth to Dallas. He's in LA. He probably knew at this point authority was going to be on him. So he's trying to jump around so he doesn't get caught. That's why he's in an airport. All right, let's play here.
Signals like the internet. Like,
do you think I care about a bunch of fucking haters that have never spent any money with me?
Right here.
Give me a second.
I'm asking if you. I didn't ask you if you care. I asked you if you think that's the reason people lost faith in you. That's what I asked.
Who lost faith in me?
Here I come.
A bunch of people
just like the general audience you were speaking to online.
You
right?
You said you have haters, Anthony. You're like the haters always come after
the haters, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
the haters
you said
that are
it
after
yourself. You just said it 10 minutes ago when this conversation started. And you
let me ask you
always,
a question.
Hey,
Hey, let me ask you guys a
play
question.
Victim in everything, man.
Listen,
and that's what you do to people.
No, let me ask you guys a question. $5 million in debt. You have two people. You have two people here on your screen. I owe Wesley $1 million. I owe Bob $194,650.
Right.
I forget. Maybe I got the last part wrong, but it's 100. Let's just call it 195,000.
Okay.
Guess what? Bob and Wesley are here live.
I come back with a better one.
Where's the other 4 million worth of people?
Well, they don't want to be in the public eye. They probably don't want to be in the public eye, right? I mean, I don't know. You
no, they want to get they want to get paid because they're not out here making a fucking fuss trying to shame me and ruin every chance I have of making money. I started doing the day. Hang on. I started doing the daily thing
I'm done
because I truly had every fucking intention. I still have every intention of paying. because every fucking thing I touch, every person I touch gets saturated by all these fucking haters. I went to Cooch.
That's your fault, Anthony, and that's the problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out.
Anthony, you just texted my ops manager and said to meet him tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the restaurant you have lunch on the first day. Don't be late. Come along.
What's wrong with you, I did.
I mean, I think I would make a fuss
So
if
let's
you
talk.
$1 million, right? I mean, I would make a fuss. Yeah. You don't think these guys deserve to make a fuss? And I mean, like, I have no dog in this fight.
You know what, Wesley? I text you that. I texted him that because I was
have
fucking
any
with
empathy
y'all.
for these guys that owe this.
You
That
can't
you owe
fuck
this
with
money
me,
to.
Anthony. If you want to fuck with me, I'll buy the flight. I mean,
The problem is, listen, the problem is all you guys are talking about this shit, like what's he gonna do, blah blah blah. What do you want me, like Wesley and Bob? I want to know what you really want. You want me to end up in prison? Because guess what? I've already told this in my last video that you guys have enough money that if I disappear, you're not gonna fucking lose. You're not, Bob. You're not gonna quit.
What a piece of shit. If I disappear, the money that I took from you really isn't going to impact you because you're worth millions anyway. Listen, I don't care if you took a penny, a dollar, whatever it is. If you took money from me, you stole it. If I put a penny down on this table and you walk into this room and you take that penny and walk away, you have stolen money from me. It doesn't matter the amount. You have stolen money, and that is the general purpose of this. And listen, these guys are out like $1 million. They should be making a fuss. But this piece of shit right now is going to go, well, if I really disappear, it's really not going to matter anyway, because $1 million is really not going to hurt your pocket. That's a piece of shit thing. And here we go. Well, I'll back that up a little bit. We can hear it again.
Is all you guys are talking about this shit, like what's he gonna do, blah blah blah. What do you want me, like Wesley and Bob? I want to know what you really want. You want me to end up in prison? Because guess what? I've already told this in my last video that you guys have enough money that if I disappear, you're not gonna fucking lose. You're not, Bob. You're not gonna quit. You're not gonna move out of your house, Wesley. You're not gonna quit doing what you do. You're fucking fine. But guess what? There's other people out there that I'm trying to fix the mess that I'm in. And you know what, Wesley? The only reason I'm on here is because, dude, you fucking have been texting me for 2 months saying you were going to sell all this stuff. I've opened up to, I've told you everything, mostly everything. And I confided in you, and I gave you every key to everything I had in this industry. And don't fucking tell me you don't, in your other video, don't fucking tell me all these guys. Nobody put you in your fucking WhatsApp groups. I did. I was the only one that put you in WhatsApp groups.
You put me in 4. So for $1
I
million,
put you in 4, and then I put you in.
Oh, and that's another. Here's some other scams. So another scam that he ran was, you pay me $2,000. Okay, I have this Facebook group that I allow you in, and I'll give you access to exclusive timepieces before they hit any of my showroom at discount prices. So he took a lot of money, like $2,000, I think, from like over 100 people, and they never got anything out of this membership. Another thing that he tried doing was coming out and saying, I'm going to do a coaching series to show you how to run a business, how to get into the watch business and run a business. And there was fucking people that actually gave this guy like $50,000, and he went out and did like 2 sessions with them and then ran off with their money.
And 4, I put you in. I put you in 4 WhatsApp chats, and now you have $6.5 million, and you can buy anything you fucking want in any industry. And you've been vetted by every fucking major dealer because I vouch for you.
If you think your word goes that far, you're full of shit. And if you can justify that I can sleep good at night because you stole $1 million from me, so I should just let it go, then you're wasting your time talking to us.
Wesley, I flew out to your fucking home and to your store. And I told you I'm here. I booked a one-way ticket to come work for you and Jason and do whatever you fucking wanted. I walked through your store and I told you everything I fucking know. And I told you I can blow this up. We can keep it as private as possible. It's going to look like your operation. I can run the back end. And you gave me every sense of hope that that's what you were going to do. And then the very next day, you told me you got a call from the FBI. Listen, the very next day you told me you got a call from the FBI. And so you had to cut ties. And that's bullshit because I have a friend at the FBI and my name is not even on their fucking radar.
I have a friend.
Even after y'all called him.
Hey, I guarantee you they're watching now, Anthony. And you flew in on a Thursday.
Good.
Friday morning, I got in my car and left.
I have a
You were
friend at
nothing
the
to talk. It was all show. It was smoke. You were trying to con me in person like you did over the phone for 2 months. It's been
You
very
think I was trying? You think I was trying to con you in person?
Yes.
When I was sitting in your office, I sold $150,000 worth of watches, and I gave them your wire information. How was I trying to fucking con you?
bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. You sold
Really?
one watch with my wire information, one. And the FBI has those transactions, to be clear, the ones that are not looking at you.
So the Meteorite Daytona, and the John Mayer Daytona that were $205,000 that I sent you a wire for immediately. Exactly.
Yeah, you paid me that. You said you gave them, and you didn't do that at my office. You did that the week prior on Monday.
But the day that I was at your office, I put Jason and you on the phone for someone wanting to buy a John Mayer, a Paul Newman Daytona, and then another client that you were going to actually deliver it hand per. And I gave you all their information. I said, hey, here's it. Just apply the credit to what I owe you.
I got a question. I want to jump in here because this is kind of going all over the place.
JJ,
what happened once Bob gave you the watches to sell? Like between then and him getting paid, like what changed that?
I'm not going to talk about transactions. I'm not going to talk about money.
That's why he's upset with you, right? Because you didn't give him the money.
Yeah.
So
listen,
I'm here to talk because you said he's mad that he didn't get paid yet. But like, isn't there some type of time expectancy? Like, hey, I give you a watch, you sell the watch, you pay me. Like not in 10 years, but like, within a certain time frame.
Listen, here's what I'm going to say. And I told you, listen, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about financials. I'm not going to talk about financials. I'm not going to talk about paying people. That's private. What I'm going to talk about is why.
Look at JJ just laughing.
When I came out on public. Well, don't worry about getting to the bottom of this. You're not the fucking police. You're a YouTube channel. The point of me being on here is.
But I'm giving people a platform so they don't we're all watch collectors here.
Okay.
We're giving people a platform so they know what's going on, so they don't make mistakes.
But 99.9% of this platform don't have anything to do with my business. They never have had anything to do with my business, and they're involved in this. The two biggest people are right here on the channel. Guess what?
Right.
I can guarantee you there's nobody else. Okay. And there's nobody else on this channel that I actually owe money because I talk to those people on a daily basis. And they're sitting back hoping to get paid. But I have a whole community of people out there,
but at what cost?
You guys trying to keep.
At what cost? So the next guy gets screwed over? I don't understand. Obviously that's what he thinks. But that's what he thinks is going to happen.
I don't victim, Anthony. You're always,
I mean,
you're always the victim.
A little humility will go a long way for you instead of blaming everybody else.
Right.
Say, hey, I missed.
What do you fucking? Okay, let me ask you this.
I don't know. You're a grown man. I'm not figuring out your mess. Don't ask me.
Right.
It's not my job. I would have never been in this.
And for someone that owes a lot of money, I probably wouldn't be flying all over the country. I'd probably start figuring out how I'm going to pay people back.
Well, that's why you're sitting there behind a YouTube channel and not $5 million in debt. I'm actually out here working and trying to do.
He literally just bagged himself. He just pwned himself. Oh, I love that. He literally just pwned himself. I'm gonna hear it again.
I missed.
What do you fucking? Okay, let me ask you this.
I don't know. You're a grown man. I'm not figuring out your mess. Don't ask me.
Right.
It's not my job. I would have never been in this.
And for someone that owes a lot of money, I probably wouldn't be flying all over the country. I'd probably start figuring out how I'm going to pay people back.
Well, that's why you're sitting there behind a YouTube channel and not $5 million in debt. I'm actually out here working and trying to do something.
That's your problem.
Because you know what? I'm flying to the next job where I can get some money to pay people back.
Okay. So where are we at on that list, Anthony? Just tell you that. I won't ever mention your name again. When am I going to get paid back?
As soon as I start having some money come in, you'll be on the list.
You're flying to your job.
So the next scam.
Okay, but you know what? I don't
taking shots.
I got to make some money first.
But you think that's normal? Let's say you sent me a $300,000 watch, and I said, "Yeah, and I'll pay you. I'll pay you." When? I'm not going to disclose that. But I'll pay you.
You know what you guys' problem is? We keep focusing on the large amount and not the simple fact that I'm trying to do what I can. Okay. Guess what? How many people in this industry have we seen get in my same position? Seriously, look it up for the last 20 years. How many people have gotten in my same position and fucking ghosted? You don't think I could delete every fucking YouTube, every social media channel I have?
So now he's leveraging these two guys, essentially saying, like, if I'm gone, you're never going to get your money back. This is going to kind of keep going back and forth. I'm not going to play the total thing because we are coming up on 2 hours. I want to wrap this up in about 2 hours. But again, I appreciate everybody being here. Again, kind of off stream for tonight, not Karen Reed related. But again, I appreciate everybody being in here. And I know that once this posts, we'll have a lot of people that will come in and want to watch this. and get the updates. But if you want to continue to watch that video, I will drop the link here in the chat. There's probably about another 15 minutes or so in that. And you can continue to watch it there. Let's see. Basil's Bezel, thanks so much for the $1 super sticker. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, buddy. All right. So again, what happens now is, and I want to get to a conclusion here. After all this big fallout, in November 8th, 2023, that was in August. So the video we just had was in August. Now it's November. Bang. United States Attorney's Office, Central District of California, press release. Founder of Beverly Hills Gentleman Timepieces Consignment Store charged with connecting victims in luxury watch Ponzi type scheme. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it just gives you context to when he gets picked up. And I'll drop the article there if you would like to read through it. If this is interesting you can go through and read it. And he was 35 at the time, and he's looking at a maximum of 20 years in federal prison. It kind of outlines all of the of what happened and how they essentially picked this guy up. All right, so now Anthony's in prison. It's been well over a year. I'm going to bring in another YouTube creator. This guy named, I think it's Lus, L-U-S, has been kind of continuing to make content about Anthony. I think he told Anthony they actually made like over 1,000 videos about him. Makes like hourly, daily content on him. I would say probably mildly obsessed at this point. Captivated, I guess, and actually got into talking to Anthony and actually started to speak to him by phone. Anthony's trying to make this pitch on the phone. Hey, look, if you send me some money, I'll draw you some watch art. Creating another scam. After a couple phone calls, Lus kind of picks up on it. And then I don't know, and maybe Basil's does. I don't know where this kind of how Anthony got this new channel, but I think that there's someone else involved that, you know, did some recordings for him and gets him up on this new YouTube channel. And I'll play the, I guess, groundbreaking video on his YouTube channel. And essentially the channel has been now deleted, but it's been out there in the ether that you all can catch. And again, Anthony's next date is going to be, let me just pull up the docket here. His next date is, so he will be in court, back in court, 10/11/24 for his trial date. So we'll keep an eye on it, but let me play the inaugural YouTube video that was on his new channel. Yeah, so he was accepting jail calls. And I'll play this. And again, I want you to go back and remember, even if you have to rewind, the confession video. I want you to understand that, what the language he was using in that. And you're going to hear very similar language here in this video. And I don't know what this guy is doing. To me, you'd be pretty fucking stupid while you're sitting in federal prison and you're going out and making like YouTube videos or confession videos. I don't think it's going to help your case. But I think that this guy, by putting it out there and saying, hey, I know that I did this. I know I was wrong. I've changed since I've been in prison. I think he's going to try to use this, to kind of get some leverage in the court and say, hey, I'm turning my life around. I know that I hurt all these victims. I want to move on with my life. Please don't give me the maximum sentence. But we'll play this out to end this stream tonight. I appreciate everybody again being here. Please smash the like button, comment after this video. I really would appreciate it. All right, let's hear Anthony in all his glory inside federal prison, and we'll end this out tonight.
Anthony William Bear. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. You may begin speaking now.
Hey everyone, welcome to my new channel. In a former life, I was known as the Timepiece Gentleman, but today I'm federal inmate 10468-506. I'm going to be spending the next several years of my life in prison because I let greed, addiction, and ego control me. Now, I'd like to start this video off by talking directly to the people involved. I know I could say I'm sorry a million times, and I know those words won't change what I did, nor will it put the millions of dollars I stole back in your pockets. But for what it's worth, I apologize sincerely.
I'm 100% responsible for the mess I created, and anyone that was affected, I really am sorry. I know that doesn't change things, and I honestly hate using those words because most of the time people saying I'm sorry don't follow that up with action that really justifies or shows they're sorry. So I want to show that by my actions. Now, I know that no matter what I say, there's always going to be people out there that don't believe me and claim this is some sort of scam. Those aren't the people that I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people that believe in second chances and believe it is possible for someone to change no matter how bad they messed up. When I say I'm sorry, I mean it, and I've attempted to show it as best I can. Back when news of all this broke, you know, it would have been easy for me to turn off my social media and hide. Instead, I posted a video admitting all of my faults on a social platform for the world to see, knowing that it would get shared and things would spiral from there.
Susan, thank
I could
you.
have made excuses, I could have pointed fingers, but I didn't. I owned up to it and made a promise to make it right, no matter how long it took.
Let's do this real quick. We're going to pause real quick. How many people think that Anthony is being genuine here? If you think that Anthony's being genuine in this video, let's type a 1 in the chat. If you think Anthony is still being deceptive, type a 2. Is he really sorry for his crimes?
Posting that apology video for me and admitting what a piece of shit I had become was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. When all this stuff happened, you know, I knew that I had fucked up, but at that time, I still wasn't convinced that I was the problem. I blamed others. I blamed the market. I blamed timing. Anything. I was angry. I was angry that I had done so much for people before, and now they were nowhere to be found. It took a while after I was arrested to finally, you know, come to that aha moment to realize what a mess I'd made of myself. I was actually sitting in my cell one day and I was reading The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, and I got to this section on narcissism. And when I got to that, I was like blown away. I couldn't.
He was blown away the fact that when he read that chapter, he went, "Hey, that's me."
Get through one page of that chapter without getting emotional. And reading it and hearing what it had to say, I related to so much of it. And that was when I finally realized what a full-blown narcissist I had become.
Such a
People called
liar.
me one before, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I thought they were just idiots, which is also a sign of a narcissist. After reading about it, like all I could think about were the horrible things I've done, the way that I treated people, how I used them as pawns to get what I wanted. I stirred up drama because I craved attention. You know, I would talk about the nice things that I did, but the nice things I did for people, what I realized is I was actually doing that for me and the praise that came with it. So to you out there, I'm sorry.
This call is from a federal prison.
I love that.
I used to think I was a good boss and I had this business savvy, but in reality, I was just a control freak that thought I was the only one who knew what they were doing or were capable of doing it. When I was running my business, I would wing things to try to make them look effortlessly or make them look effortless. Then I'd move on to something else if they didn't work out. And when those things didn't work out, it was always someone else's fault. There's another thing that I was never willing to admit the role that luck played in my early successes. I've lied, I've manipulated, I've stole. I hurt a lot of people. I broke everyone's trust. It took me losing everything, ruining all of my relationships, causing financial hardship on a lot of people, and winding up homeless, living out of a storage unit,
What was me?
sleeping on the beach, and then back in prison to finally realize what a mess I've become. You know, I lay in my bed almost every night thinking back on all the things I could have done different, how I could change things if I just had one more chance. If I could just go back and do things over knowing what I know now. There's nights that I can't even go to sleep because of how much it bothers me. So coming back to prison in a way, it's forced me to really look at myself. You know, going from the life that I had to now, everything I own fits in a 2x4
Life
locker.
that you had.
I wash my clothes.
Bro, you stole from people to develop that lifestyle. What are you talking about? That was not your life. That was other people's money that you were using to make it your life. That wasn't your life. That was a manufactured thing that you were doing. You were stealing people's money and then creating a life for you. That wasn't your life. That was a creation through fraud, through victimizing people. What are you talking about, bro?
In the sink with a bar of soap. I wake up when I'm told. I eat when I'm told. I go to sleep when I'm told. My life no longer belongs to me. That's going to be it for a while. You know, I've been empty inside for a long time, and I'm full of insecurities and these voids that I don't know where they come from. But I have spent time trying to figure that out and how I can fix them. I may not ever be able to fix the damage I've caused, but I'm going to try. Now, there's no telling how long it's going to take me to pay back what I owe, but it starts with that, with something, which is why I've talked about drawings before, and which is one of the purposes of this channel. You know, making $100 is better than doing nothing at all and staying a ghost. And to anyone out there that is watching this or listening, if I affected you, you have my word. I'm going to do everything I can within my power while I'm in here to start trying to fix the wrongs or try to make right my wrongs. Now, I want to move, or actually one thing I do want to say is that today I'm happy to report that I have been sober for 318 days, which, again, addiction was one of my biggest problems and led me to the position that I'm in. So in a way, prison kind of saved me, because had this not happened and everything I was going through and dealing with, who knows what would have happened in my life. For anyone that says, you know, it's easy staying sober in prison, it's not. Everything you can imagine is available in here. Over the last 10 and a half months that I have been incarcerated, I've spent a lot of time reading anything from, I've read books about narcissistic personality disorder to childhood trauma to mental illness, trying to figure out what's wrong with me and what makes me the way I am. And then once I figure that out, how I can fix it. I know it's not going to be an easy road. It's definitely not going to happen overnight, but it's something that I've made a commitment to during my time away to put every ounce of strength I have into to trying to fix. When I leave here, I want to come out a different person, like a better person. I want to move on to talking about drawings. Now, somebody might ask me, why drawing? Well, being in prison, I'm extremely limited to what I can do to earn money legally. And drawing is one of those things. It's what I've been doing to support myself since I've been in, is drawing portraits for other inmates. It's a creative skill that I haven't talked about or shared with people a lot, so people aren't very familiar with me being an artist, but it is something I think I'm good at. And it's a positive hobby, or it's a positive thing that I can do in here to also keep me out of trouble. One of the other purposes of this channel is not only to promote the drawings, but I also want to share my story. I want to answer some of those unanswered questions. I want to talk about the scandal when it comes to that point, and what could have been done differently, how it could have been avoided, how you can recognize stuff like that in other people.
This call is from a federal prison.
I love that.
And the last purpose of this channel is I want people to hold me accountable. I'm making a commitment to change.
Oh, make him accountable now.
That's not possible on my own. If I've got a public platform of people holding me accountable for the things I say I'm going to do, and whether I do them or not, and calling me on my shit when I don't, I think that's the only way to really have any kind of success with this. So, again, to everyone that was affected, whether it was financially, whether it was someone close to me, a personal relationship, I'm sorry, and you have my word. I'm going to do everything I can to try and fix this. Before I end this call, to promote my drawing, I wanted to take a second and I want to offer a free one out there to somebody. We're going to post videos every Monday evening at 5 p.m. So in honor of this first video and launching the channel, I want to give one subscriber the opportunity for a free watch drawing or portrait of your choice.
Watch drawing? How?
Interested,
what?
Like this video.
How did he get access to watches?
And then come back down here and comment, subscribe, and in Monday's video, I will pick a winner. If anybody has any questions, I need questions for the video. So if you've got some stuff that you haven't heard me talk about, please put those questions below, and I'll pick 2 or 3 of the best ones, and I'll talk about those next week. So guys, welcome to the channel. I hope one of these days I can fix what I've done, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
And that's it. Oh, Anthony. Well, October 11th is his next court date, his trial date. We'll have to see what happens, but hopefully I gave you some background and context to who this guy is. I've always thought it was a very fascinating story. You know, things like this, they just move slow sometimes. And, you know, when someone's away in federal prison, there's not a lot of updating, but we'll have to see what happens. Total narcissist, and this guy deserves to get everything that's coming to him. And the sad thing about it, you know, I look at it, I'm not saying sad for him, but you know, the real sad thing about it is I feel that if this guy would have played it straight and narrow, because he was a very captivating person, he knew how to draw a crowd in, he knew how to, you know, he was very good at social media. And I think that if he took in and went the straight and narrow, he probably would have been on top by now where he wanted to be. But that greed and narcissism and addiction and criminality that's inside of him, it all came out like a demon. And at that point, it just didn't matter anymore. All it mattered about was himself. The next thing to get an edge, the next thing to move ahead, the next thing to scam someone, the next thing to get that $1 million in my pocket. And that is the sad reality of one Anthony Farah. It's a crazy story, an absolutely crazy story. You couldn't make this shit up. And it's like the perfect movie script. It's the perfect movie script. But again, hopefully this captivated all of you tonight. I appreciate y'all being here, subscribers, members, the Ghost Squad members that are in here. I appreciate you. And, you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But I will continue to report on this. We have a couple of weeks until his trial, if it happens on time. If not, you know, we'll continue to gather some information and put it out there. I have had victims behind the scene reach out to me before, provide me with the court documents. So I'm sure that they'll see this video drop and probably provide me with some more information. So that is it. That is it, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Get some rest. We've come past 2 hours. I will be back tomorrow night live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be doing some Chelsea Grim updates, and I will reveal all of the photos that were on her camera just days up until she went missing. We can go through those and see what you know, what kind of determinations that what we can come to. So hopefully you join me for that live, and I will talk to everybody soon. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe the first time over here, and I'll see you soon. See you tomorrow night. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.